before that bus ran off the cliff, I figured it'd be wise for me to reach out to some people that had done what I have done in the past.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. Every single time we run one of these shows, we have special guests. Today, my name is Brett Gilliland. I'll be your host. And I have the honor of introducing Marcus Fauth. Marcus is co-founder and CEO of Great Guys Colorado. They have an HVAC and electrical services company. They serve the greater Denver area. I'll let Marcus say more about what they're doing, but I just want to say that I feel very fortunate every time I start one of these episodes with another amazing business owner, and today's no exception. Welcome to the show, Marcus. We're glad to have you here.
Excellent. Good morning, Brett. It's an honor to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Great Guys Colorado, not just the area you service, but how long you guys have been doing it, and anything you'd like to put in the minds of our audience as we begin our show today.
Certainly. Well, GreatGuysColorado.com is obviously our domain and our website. Our parent company is Great Guys Home Services. We operate under a DBA of Great Guys Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And I'll give you a little bit of a teaser, but that name's about to change and go through a little rebranding as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But we're looking at doing a growth by acquisition scenario here relatively soon. But we've been in Denver market for 6 years now. 2018, April is our 6th year anniversary. Family owned and operated. My career began in the Denver market back in 1996. Great Guys was actually founded due to the poking and prodding of my daughter. It took her about 6 and 7 months of asking and begging to open a business that I finally caved in and said yes. The preliminary negotiation with her was neither one of us really want to work that hard, do we? But here we are. We're now 6 years strong, and we service all of the Denver metro area: heating, cooling, air conditioning, boilers, electrical, panel changes, all of those home service related areas.
Awesome. Very good. Well, I love having stories like that where your daughter's like, come on, Dad, let's get this going here.
Yeah, she was working for a commercial mechanical contractor doing ductwork in a hospital, and she's a lot like myself in regards to being a people person and just tired of seeing the four same coworkers every day, day after day after day, and didn't feel like she really accomplished much. So she wanted to be the entrepreneur that her father had been, and that's where the spirit came from. And so, here we are.
Here we are. Okay, well, we're gonna build on that great start. We're gonna talk about. 6 years in, that's staying power. A lot of businesses don't make it that far. And not only did you make it, but you've built something that now is growing. It sounds like you're considering an acquisition, or maybe somebody's acquiring you. I don't know. I'll let you talk about that. But that growth comes with new challenges and things. So let's get into that. Before we talk about any sort of acquisition things, let's talk about something that you've learned over the last 6 years that might be helpful for other business owners. As the team starts to grow, the complexity starts to increase. How do we get our arms around all of this? How do we figure out how to grow without going crazy?
Well, I don't know that it's achievable without going crazy, Brett. Over the 6 years, there's obviously been a tremendous amount of challenges. We have grown every year in our top line revenue, with the exception of 2023. Due to some, consumer spending and inflation, we did have a pretty flat year. But we've got, trajectory and plans in 24 to grow again. Challenges, boy, it can be somewhat of a long story. I'll give you a little background. I'm one of those business operators that don't like debt. So, it was very grassroots, very organic growth from its inception. Large amount of our business was and still is referral, word of mouth. Challenges, of course, in the first few years, the biggest challenge was employees, without a doubt. The element of recruitment and retainment was huge. I would say we were probably 2.5 years in, and myself being a technician of 27, 28 years now, felt like the wheels were starting to fall off the bus, if you will. We had organically grown an organization that was continuing to grow. We had more work than we were able to produce. We just didn't have the staff, et cetera, things like that. And, before that bus ran off the cliff, I figured it'd be wise for me to reach out to some people that had done what I have done in the past. So the element of collaboration was huge, and we decided to bring on a consulting firm at about 2.5 years in, and it was incredibly pivotal to our success and growth moving forward after that.
Okay, so if I could like dissect that for a second for anybody
Absolutely.
listening, let's the focus I think you said was, hey, we were growing, we might have gotten a little bit too far over the front of our skis, right? Like
Absolutely.
we're a little bit um, well, you said we're not able to produce all the work that we had, and things were getting a little bit more chaotic. And so you're like, I know other people. Let's go find some help. Let's get some perspective. Let's get people in here who can help us see things in a new way. And I think that's a valuable share, even if we didn't get into all the specifics of, name and consultant firm and all that kind of stuff. It's like the key is there are people outside who can help us figure things out if we don't know what it's like to be in this spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you wear so many different types of business hats. Sometimes you're the producer, sometimes you're the scheduler, sometimes you're the actual employee. And so, wearing all of those hats, it's very easy to fall into, a tunnel vision, if you will, because you're so focused on everything that's surrounding you, all of the immediate urgencies that you see. And any advice that I could give to any of your listeners is reach out. I mean, there are others that have done what you've done. They have failed, they have succeeded, and with those elements of collaboration, you can really just be a sponge of information, and it really helps alleviate a lot of the stress to recognize that somebody else has done what you've done, and they're happy to share and provide you with some advice.
All right, that's amazing. And in a small way, we're trying to provide some of those benefits through this podcast with all the guests sharing some of the things that they know. So, is there another thing that you would like to share in that regard? That's like, here's one specific thing, and maybe it goes back to this consulting firm coming in and helping you figure some things out. Is there something that would be applicable to other businesses? It was like a key principle or learning that just changed things for you guys.
I don't know if it was pivotal in regards to the change, because the communication between myself and my daughter when we founded the organization was take care of the customer and the money will come. That was it was really just one of our kind of baseline core values. We had two primary elements when we founded the business. From my viewpoint, I wanted to create an organization that employees wanted to come to work at. After having a 20 plus career in the industry and bouncing from business to business, one of the things that was always challenging was as everybody as an employee was treated as a number. It was similar to the restaurant industry, if you will, or any service related industry. It can sometimes be referred to as a chew you up and spit you out business. And I was tired of feeling that way as an employee. So I wanted to build a company where the employees genuinely and truly wanted to come to work every day. They were treated with respect. Their opinions were valued. Their ideas were communicated, and ran up the ladder in regards to potential implementation and things like that. And then the second element of the business that we wanted to create was bridging the education gap in the home services industry between the consumer and the professional. We call it the empowerment of the customer. Our job is not to try to sell anything to any of our clients, is to provide them with factual, truthful information and options so that the consumer can make the best empowered decision that they can. So with those two particular core values, it came to the element of taking care of the customer and the money will show up. And it has year after year, and it's still one of our huge core values. We did go through a little bit of a culture and rebranding element where we saw some deficiencies that didn't align with our immediate trajectory.
Well, what I love about what you're saying is the identification of knowing who you are. Like you had some core values from the beginning. You and your daughter decided we're going to do it this way. And so now you have a great guys Colorado way. And you only mentioned a couple of the core values, but whether you have, three or six or eight, whatever, there's a set of core beliefs that I can tell you guys talk enough about that creates an environment where we know this is the way we're going to interact with each other. This is the way we're going to interact with our customers or our clients. This is the way we're going to interact with our partners. And it all stems from those core values. So I love that you talked about that. Hiring team members gets a lot easier. I'm not saying it is easy, but it gets a lot easier when you know the type of person that fits with the values that we have. And so it's not just a technical skill match thing, it's also a values fit matching. And when you get
100%.
yeah. Yeah, so when you get good at that, it sounds, and I can tell in your language that you guys hire that way now. It just makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, we hire and we fire by our culture and our core values.
Yeah.
You had mentioned kind of our motto, and we've got it printed on posters and boards all through our office. It's quite simple. It's three two-word sentences. It's do right, be great, and improve lives. And then we attach what we describe as the win-win-win philosophy behind that. If the customer's not winning, the client's not winning, or the company and the greater community that surrounds us don't win, then it's a decision that can't be made. So it has to meet those three parameters in order to fit into the do right, be great, and improve lives values.
Yeah, I love it. I love how intentionally you've built your business, especially given that you have I'll call it a relatively brief 6 year history. I know for you guys, it's like, wow, we've survived for 6 years, or it's a long period of time, but that's a relatively brief period of time for you to have that level of identity in your business and that level of consistency in the way that you talk about it. And I'm sure that shows up externally in your branding and it shows up internally in your culture, which is just like two sides of the same coin. But I love hearing you talk about that, Marcus. Well done. Okay, let's shift gears for just a second. And like you've done some amazing things. I can tell you've built something great. Doesn't mean that all the problems go away. Doesn't mean that you've figured everything out. There are still things that you have to learn and do to grow to the next level, and you might be bumping up against some challenges. Why don't we take one of those challenges, whatever it may be, and dig into it together and see if we might help you and others through our conversation.
Okay, I could certainly expand on that a little bit. There's probably going to be two primary challenges that I share with you guys. Obviously, the element of retention and hiring is been a big challenge. We went on to all of the major websites that offer employment advertising, Indeed, Monster, etc. And you search HVAC tech, and you're going to find postings for thousands of technicians thousand positions in the Denver metro area. So the biggest thing that we did on that recruitment is we changed how we recruit, and we changed what those ads did. So we talked more about our core values. We talked more about our what it's like to come to work for us. We did recruitment videos and different things like that, and that really stimulated the element of not just recruitment but retention. So it was a big, huge culture shift, and without that, you're not going to retain employees. Employees don't quit jobs; they quit management, they quit environments. So if you can make an environment where that employee loves to stay, and management really values their particular opinion as well as the work effort that they put in there, you can then build on that. We've found a lot of success recently actually importing employees from other states. Today is the first day of a second employee that we brought down from Utah. So, we hire by the mindset, not the skill set. Skill set can be provided, mindset can't. Now, in regards to growth and challenges, in the home services field and in my world of heating and air conditioning and electrical contracting, there's one key element that's missing, and that's the plumbing element. So as I led to earlier about the acquisition, we have for about 8 months been trying to recruit a plumber that fits our mindset and our culture. And, we've had challenges in regards to finance, why the journey has taken 8 months thus far. We planted a lot of seeds about a year and a half ago with a couple of different plumbing companies, and one of those reached out to us about 3 weeks ago. So we're in negotiations. We're issuing a letter of intent to acquire that particular company. So now you immediately have growth by acquisition. And in the dating phase or the preliminary due diligence elements of this particular acquisition, there was a lot of culture alignment, a lot of synergies to ensure that the people that we were bringing in, not just the assets and the phone numbers and the vans and things like that, but the employees that were going to come over as well, that they synergistically aligned with our culture and our core values. And so, again, we're back to that mindset: hire for mindset, provide skill set, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, excuse me. I love. I mean, you didn't ask a specific question there, but I think the challenge you're raising is when we grow through acquisition, whether we hire people or we acquire a company that comes with people, the issue is fairly similar. It's like, how do we make sure that those people are going to come in and maintain this thing that we've created very intentionally, like we started, the values, that they live those, and that they operate in a way that the customer can feel the same thing that they always get with great guys, right? So let's talk about some of the things you've done to ensure that there's some alignment there around the values around your culture. What have you done in the due diligence to see if there's some fit?
Well, obviously there was several meetings with the ownership of the company, and verbalizing our desires, verbalizing our deal breakers, et cetera, making sure that just the very high end 10,000-foot view, if you will, elements of this particular merger or acquisition, as you want to label it, we had to ensure that they aligned with our direct vision. and that goes back to, taking care of the customer. The company that we're looking at acquiring and most likely will acquire had some challenges with revenue. He is very similar to me with backgrounds of he's a technician. He's been a plumber for 33 years. He's not necessarily a back end business guy. Doesn't understand any element on the P&L statement and things like that. So obviously, reviewing their financials, getting a 3-year weighted EBITDA average associated to the value of the company was critical. We even brought their employees in and had their employees do ride-alongs with our technicians. That way those technicians got to see a little bit of the culture. They were given the opportunity in full transparency to ask our employees any questions about what it would be like to come to work for us.
I love that, by the way. That's a great ride-alongs. We used to call it riding the trains. There's a whole story around that I won't get into. Ride-along, shadowing, whatever you call it. It's so valuable. I wish more business owners would do it. So thank you for bringing it up. And it's not
Absolutely.
just valuable in a potential acquisition situation. It's valuable when you're onboarding team members. It's valuable when a leader is just trying to see how things are going and checking in. It's just a great practice. So I love that you guys are doing that. It's amazing.
Yeah, we'll even do that with potential employees as well. Just don't tell my insurance agent he doesn't like it when I have non-employees come to a working ride-along interview.
Yeah.
But it really opens up the doors and the eyes of not just the technician that they're riding with, but it opens up the eyes to the applicant as well. What am I really getting into? What is it like? So not only is it critical for us to be able to evaluate that potential applicant through a ride-along working interview, it gives that applicant a little bit of a piece of the pie. What is it really going to be like on a day-to-day basis? Because we can go through recruitments and we can go through interviews, and you can have an applicant interview 4 times and they're perfect. You put them in a van and they don't take care of the customers the way that the values, say that you should. And now you spend a tremendous amount of time acquiring, as well as the expense of acquiring an employee, only to see it's a very short-term, arrangement.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Very cool. I love that you do. Okay. So what is the biggest concern that you have, Marcus, about bringing on this new business, acquiring these team? And how many team members, by the way, roughly would you
There'll
be?
only be 2 joining us from that organization. They're currently 4 strong, but we're only going to bring over 2.
Two. Okay. So the risk is somewhat minimal. I mean, it's still risk with those two,
Yeah.
and every customer experience has to be right. But it's not like 10, and you might lose half of them. If you lose half of your two, you're only down one. Not that I want to wish that on you, but my point is, it's relatively low risk. But what's your biggest concern about it?
That's a great question, and hopefully the gentleman that I'm going to acquire doesn't get to listen to this podcast before the signatures are dry on there. But one of the things, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory that will lead to this particular fear. While evaluating this particular business and going through the due diligence, there's a key element, and all entrepreneurs should listen to this. What is your exit strategy? Your exit strategy is important, and you need to know the plan from the inception of the business. So, for example, this particular company that we are acquiring is a plumber who's been a plumber for 33 years. He's been a business owner for the last 5. His business is him. His business is so closely aligned with him as an individual and as the business owner and as the employee and as the technician, there's not a lot of purchasable value associated to the business in and of itself.
Yeah.
This is an asset and an employee retainment agreement more than anything. You can call it an acquisition, but we're buying the company's assets and we're buying the employee and the employees. And so with that, the biggest fear is once the acquisition is done, how long will these employees stay? So mitigating and looking at the liability and the risk factor associated to that, you contractually try to ensure that there is longevity associated to that employment. We're calling it the employee retention agreement. So
Yeah.
there's the purchase acquisition, and then there's the employee. So the element is we've struggled to be able to find somebody within the plumbing division to develop that division within our organization for 8 months now. And so when this acquisition is complete, it would be very detrimental to the growth and the building of that division if it were a short-term endeavor between the two companies.
Yeah.
So the biggest fear is we buy the company and the guy picks up and leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to call out for anybody listening what Marcus just said. If as the business owner you have failed to separate the business owner from the business, they need to be separate identities. In this case, sounds like the company that they're considering acquiring, the business owner is so integrated into everything that happens in that business that there really isn't a transferable asset, right? I mean, I'm not saying there's zero value there, but it's a lot harder to build something worth handing off to somebody else if the business owner is so involved in everything. They're kind of inextricably linked still. And so we got to do this Siamese separation thing, like Siamese twins. We got to separate them and say, okay, business owner separate from business. And so what I would do, and it sounds like you're putting agreements in place already, Marcus, but I would be really thinking about what are those success milestones? How do we try to make sure that, the couple of team members that we want to have stay, how do we really connect with them, do the ride-alongs, do very intentional onboarding processes that help them feel very connected to the values, very connected to the company culture as a whole. And I'm guessing you're already thinking about this, Marcus, but I'll just throw it out there. If you personally can show an interest in those team members and show a path towards things that they want, right? That's going to be key. And if that path is, well, I just need a steady income, and to be able to keep up with cost of living adjustments, and work reasonable hours and have some time to myself or with my family once in a while, like whatever it is that they want. If you know that you can provide it, that you're painting that clear picture for them, hey, everything that's important to you, you're going to get that. And if they start to reveal things that are important to them that you're not going to provide, then you got to figure out how to get them to a place of, this is what this opportunity is, and they either need to get excited about that, or you need to realize that you're likely to lose somebody.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, it's key during, you can call it a dating phase, if you will, but during the due diligence process, you're absolutely right. We dug into what their wants were. We dug into where they see themselves. And this aligns very closely with kind of our onboarding. And so these two particular potential employees that were business owners are going to come to our organization. They'll go through the same onboarding process if we were to just hire a new employee. And there's two documents that we have that are part of their onboarding packet. One of them is called a favorites list, and the other one of them is called their short-term goals list.
Hmm.
And what that does for our leadership team is that gives us a little microscope into their life. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite sports teams? Things like that. My goal is to have my credit cards paid off in 15 months, different things like that. So what that provides for us as leadership and aligns with that employee retention and that culture is when their birthday rolls around, we give them a gift of something that aligns on their favorites list.
Yeah.
If we had a few employees that had kind of debt related objectives or goals on their goals list. So what did we do is we developed a fiscal responsibility class that we offer to all of our employees. What is it like to carry credit card debt for a long period of time? What is it, how important is an emergency fund, different things like that. So we call it developing not only internally but externally our employees. So we develop them through our company, but then we also personally develop those employees to meet their goals and objectives. And it gives more of a familial feel to our particular team and our culture. So yes, you absolutely have to find out the deal breakers, what they want, what their goals are, and you have to make sure that those align. Whether it's a new acquisition or whether it's just hiring a new employee, all of those key factors fall into play.
Yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity. You just set it up so beautifully for me, Marcus, to share something that I don't always get to share on these episodes. And that is what is key to happiness in a working environment. Before I get into the team member happiness, let's just remember that it's really happy team members that make happy customers, that make happy shareholders. And sometimes we get that backwards, and we focus on the shareholder or we focus on the customer, which is awesome. But let's not forget, focusing on our team members is really the best path to having great customer experiences. Happy team members, happy customers, happy investors, in that order. And sometimes we forget that. So I love that you said that. And what I've done is I've studied, well, what makes for happy team members? What would attract and retain happy team members? And there's lots of things we could bring up, but I'm going to say three specifically. One is they want to be connected to something that has some meaning or some purpose to it. And so how do you take something that might feel as routine and normal as heating, plumbing, electrical kind of work, and turn that into some purposeful thing? And when we do that, when we sort of raise the level of focus to something more meaningful, everybody feels happier about being involved with it. So purpose, they want to be connected to other team members in a meaningful way. Doesn't mean they have to be best buddies outside of work, but if they like the people that they work with, they're much more likely to be happy and stay. And then the last one is what you just mentioned, Marcus: progression or development. They want to feel progress. Human beings weren't meant to like just stagnate. The happiest ones, the most fulfilled ones, are learning, they're growing, they're progressing. And so whether you figure out how to progress them internally in their role, like Marcus was talking about in the company, or externally in areas of their life that matter to them, they need and they want to feel progress. And so when you help them feel purpose, when you help them feel connected to other team members, when you help them feel a sense of progression in their own development, they're going to be happier team members. They're going to work better for you, and they're going to create better customer experiences for you. So, sorry about the long thing there, but you made me do it, Marcus. I'm sorry.
It's my fault. My fault. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. That particular level of feeling purpose and included and valued. Maybe we do a couple of, one little quirky thing that we do here at our office, which I don't always talk about this, but it's been a huge impact. You know, recognition to your employees is huge. So we have once a month we have an all staff meeting. When we share all the numbers, we share our gross profit, our net profit, our margins, et cetera, things like that. So we give the company an overall view of how we as an organization are doing. And then we give out awards. They're called coins. What's a coin? So if somebody had, the highest ticket average for something in the service field, or another employee witnessed a different employee doing something fabulous, they can recommend and gift that employee a coin. Well, that coin then goes over to the center of our particular office building, and right there, big and bold, you walk in the front door, there's a carnival claw machine. The claw machine that has the little spiral claw that comes down and you get the little,
Yeah.
stuffed animal or what. So they get an opportunity to play that. And then in there, if they win, they get prizes like an extra day of PTO or dinner with the boss or a 90-minute massage or $100 gift card to go buy a tool, different things like that. And that just stimulates community and growth within the team members. It gives them, motivation to do a really good job because they can get nominated for those types of things. And it's
I
a
love
little bit, but it's huge on culture.
No, it's fantastic. It's you know, culture is what we make of it. It's there intentionally or not. And what you've done is create a fun way for people to reinforce the culture. When people are living the values, let's put them in for a coin. When they're performing well, let's put them in for a coin, right? And
Yep.
so that's cool. I love that example. Thank you for sharing it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, Marcus, this has been fantastic. I can tell that your 20 plus years as a technician in other people's companies either taught you what not to do, or you went around saying, well, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. Now you've got this business where you've just intentionally built it the way you and your daughter wanted to build it. And it sounds like you're going to be head and shoulders against all the competition, because who wouldn't want to work at Great Guys Colorado with all the stuff where it's purpose driven, it's values based, there's this fun, and like, it's just better than a normal services job where you just go and run as many tickets as you can and punch the clock and call it a day. Like, that's a difference that you're creating, and I want to commend you for it. Well done.
Thank you. We kind of call that the great guy's experience. My daughter mentions this a lot. She says, you can go over to your neighbor's house or your brother-in-law's house, and they just got brand new HVAC equipment. Your brother-in-law is not going to take you down into the basement, open up the mechanical room door, and say, "Hey, look at that brand new shiny box." It's just something that doesn't happen. So people aren't going to share what we do with their neighborhood, their family, and their community, but they'll absolutely share how they felt through that process. They'll talk about the great guy's experience. They'll talk about how we protected their home, how we treated them, how we communicate, all of that particular aspect. So if you can deliver an experience that can be reshared from consumer to consumer, you'll be successful.
And if you apply those same exact customer focused things to the way you create an employee experience for your team, which it sounds like you are doing, you're not only going to attract and keep better team members, but you're going to end up getting what you want out of that customer experience because they're going to create it. So I just love it. Well done. Thank you so much for taking the time to share some of your experience and ideas and your challenges with us today, Marcus. It was really helpful.
Right, anytime, man. It was my pleasure to be here.
All right. So, Marcus, if people want to learn more about Great Guys, if they want to connect with you on social somewhere, if they want to, track how this plumbing acquisition is going to happen and all that kind of stuff, where can they learn more about it?
Well, obviously, the first step would be our website, greatguyscolorado.com, all lowercase, all spelled out. It's got a little bit of our story on there, different things like that. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and you can even have, if any of your clients or anybody wants to email me, it's marcus@greatguyscolorado.com. I'm happy to mentor and share what I've learned thus far.
All right, awesome. Greatguyscolorado.com. Go check out the story there. Marcus, his daughter, his son actually recently, I think, joined the business. I saw that on the website. A lot of good things happening over there. Appreciate what you shared.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
for everybody out there listening, please like, share, review, comment, do all those things to help this episode get in front of as many seven-figure business owners as possible. Not just in the greater Denver area where Marcus and team are operating, but throughout the country and throughout the world where we have business owners trying to do these things to scale their business. And we have so many valuable lessons being shared by the likes of Marcus and all the other business owners we have on this show. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.